Okay, so I'm recording this on Sunday evening, the evening before my final week starts on my third year respiratory placement. Been a really good weekend. This is about unwinding, I suppose, this video. I haven't really planned it at all, but I've had a really good weekend back at home, back with Jodie and Jess, and just back to a bit of routine and normality, which is it's actually really good to refresh the batteries while you're on placement. We have a lot of work to do every evening and most weekends to make sure that we're keeping on top of everything we need to do on placement, but without that bit of a recharge and just relaxing with the other life that goes on whilst we're at university and placement is really, really important. So this weekend went back and just normal life. We had our local running club's event, which is the Tabby 7. And that was really, really good. It was great team atmosphere. Back to my sort of second passion, sort of hobby-wise in life, other than physiotherapy. So it was really good to see everyone again. The team did really well. It was fantastic weather, really good event. I was really pleased with my run. Absolutely kind of nailed it, really. It was a really good, strong run. I felt fantastic all the way around. I know this isn't all about running, but I can imagine as this evolves and if it does carry on, running is going to be quite a significant phenomenon. So if you hate running, I wouldn't bother subscribing to this. But if you like it, then I think I'll probably be talking a lot more about it as it sort of evolves and goes forward. So going into next week on my respiratory placement, I need to sort of hone in. My educators sent me a few sort of very specific things now, of kind of really narrowing down what it is that I need to do to sort of hit that final week. So sort of looking at that, sort of after my halfway, I did my reflections, which is a really good thing to do on my learning objectives, and kind of going back right to the beginning and thinking what was I planning on doing, what did I want to get from this placement, and how well am I progressing towards that. So particularly some of the things, and I think from talking to other students, this is usually one of the two areas of our placements that need more work than others, and that is the assessment and treatment elements. Obviously, a lot of people may think, well, that's kind of your bread and butter of physiotherapy, but it's also the bits that tend to take more time to come along. It's a really complex, wide variety of things that we have to cover within physiotherapy. It's so your assessment varies patient to patient, so there is no systematic approach to every patient that you do. I suppose there is, but you shouldn't be going to each patient and doing exactly the same thing every time. That's not patient-centered care. So with that comes a huge variety of cases, approaches, so your assessment always changes and should always change, but that does mean that it takes time and more work. And the same with treatment. Your treatment will depend on your assessment, it'll depend on the patient, it'll depend on the setting you're in, the resources you've got, the team that you're working with, your confidence, your scope of practice at that particular time of your career. Your treatment will depend, and also it should depend on the evidence base. I can imagine that in 2, 5, 10 years time from now, the treatments will change, and they should evolve, definitely, based on the evidence that's coming out of the research. So subjective assessments, particularly around respiratory assessments, really sort of honing in on those now, just making them kind of dotting the I's and crossing the T's, as it were. Using as many resources as I can from the MDT to help sort of feed into that process, and the same with my objective now, being really succinct and decisive on what I'm getting from my objective assessment, and being able to accurately and concisely feed that back to any other member of staff. Justify my treatments verbally, so I know why I'm doing them. I can clinically reason them. I've got an evidence base behind them, but I need to verbalize that to my educator, because otherwise they're second guessing. So another tip there for placement: talk to your educator over and over. Tell them what you're doing, why you're doing it, and where you've kind of how your journey has come into that decision. So you may see a patient, do your assessment, and then do a treatment. But why are you doing that treatment? We should never be doing a treatment just because we saw someone else do it or we think it may be the right thing to do. We should be doing it because we funneled down through our assessment and clinical reasoning, drawing in the evidence, and that's why we're doing our treatment. So that's really important. It's difficult though. It is a hard thing to do. I'm going to spend some time with OT on Monday, particularly going to be putting them into one of my patients. So that's going to kill two birds with one stone there. And then, and just hopefully the rest of it falls in place. The other criteria for placement seem to be going really well. So it's just a case of just keeping on with those. And that's kind of the professionalism, the interpersonal skills, time management, reflective practice, learning behaviour, all those sorts of things. They're okay, and my educators sort of said they're not some things I need to concentrate on now at this stage. Just got to keep doing what I'm doing with those. They're fine. It's those very specific bits amongst that assessment and treatment that he wants to push me harder on and go get to that kind of those next levels that will then match the other sections. So that's that. So a couple of things there of where I'm going for my final week of this placement, and a little bit just saying taking a break during placement and having your normal routine, whatever that might be for you, is really important. If you've got a hobby or a sport that you play, give it some time while you're on placement. Of course, it's going to take maybe a bit of a backseat, and that's correct as well. But giving yourself a break is absolutely vital whilst on placement. And burnout is something that I've experienced in my second year, doing too much sort of constantly, and then coming to the end of the year and just really finding it very hard to keep that momentum. So this year, hopefully I'm sort of learning a bit of a balance. It's in the last year, so you could argue it's a bit too late, but it's not, I don't think. But hopefully I can, through these videos, give you guys, if you're first and second years or coming into physiotherapy for whatever reason, give you those heads up to kind of allow yourself that time and that break. So we'll keep these up to date over this week, and until then I shall see you later.